As Stepan did previously with the first season of Game of Thrones, he selected some bookish objects, or knowing him, probably all bookish objects from the film. I'm yet to see it, so I hope you won't spoil it for me.
Well, you've read the book.
And I saw the first movie, and they're basically the same. No, they're not.
I made some screenshots from the movie, and there are definitely some bookish objects there in the movie. It's not probably not as fun as with the Game of Thrones, our series of posts and a video about bookish objects of Game of Thrones, because there were many more old bindings there in the Game of Thrones, but still there are some things worth mentioning and some things we found out we just want to share with you. So if you know the story, you know that printed or written books and objects have some importance in the world of Dune. If you don't know the story, I wouldn't spoil it much if I say that artificial intelligence and powerful computers are prohibited in the world of Dune due to some historical reasons. And so they have to use some primitive technology and, well, books. We see books used by the one of the main characters, by Paul Atreides, throughout the movie. There are books in his room. There are books used by other characters. And here is one of the first scene in the movie. It's like 6 minutes into the movie. He's already reading a book about Arrakis, about the planet Dune, where their family is moving to.
And do they have like some special alphabet? Is it printed in that alphabet?
Yeah. Here you can see.
Nice font.
There are, and as far as I understand, it was developed specifically for the movie, and there are several languages, at least several languages used in the movie, and there are a bit more languages used in the book. And there is this is Galak, the galactic language that sort of evolved from mix of English and different Slavic languages. And when you read the book, you can hear this heritage of English. It's hard to hear because if you read the book in English, it will be hard to find out these references to the language's history. But in the English book, you often see Russian and other Slavic words, which surprised me when I first read the book as a kid. And I'm not sure how it was translated into the Russian version of the book.
But when was this written?
1965, I think.
So that's funny. So this is the height of the Cold War.
Yeah.
And he is sure that in the future will be determined by the US and the USSR.
Well, or at least in English-speaking world and Russians.
And compare that to the Firefly. Remember that TV series?
Yeah.
That was filmed in early 2000s, and their language of the future and culture were based on American culture and Chinese culture and Chinese language.
Yeah.
So by the late 90s, early 2000s, Russian and Slavic heritage weren't thought to be that determining for the future.
Well, not really. I from time to time I see modern science fiction where Russian language has some prominence in the future, and well, I guess that's probably will be the case, because there were there is some prognosis about how fast languages die out, and there are estimates that by the 22nd century there will be a couple hundred languages remaining, or something like that, or at least actively spoken languages. And Russian is still one of the top, I'm not sure if top 5, but definitely top 10 languages.
I looked at
some 300 or 400 million people talk Russian, and well, that's
I looked at the statistics and the projections. There is something, depending on how you count, from like 6,000 to 7,000 languages nowadays, and at least one language goes extinct every week, which is a frightening thought. And basically, only a couple dozen languages have a chance to survive in a couple hundred years as major languages, and they are the languages of today. Everything that has less than 100,000 speakers will basically be corrupted by surrounding bigger languages and won't survive as a major language. Basically, it will be 12 languages and then a few hundred languages used only at home.
At least there is hope that many of these languages will be documented, because currently many scientists work on this issue and this matter. So returning to Galak, it is supposedly, as I said, based on Slavic and English, Slavic languages and English, and there are some other influences as well. In the script, it's hard to tell. I saw some people comment on the web that there is some Coptic influence or something like that. And there probably you can find some Greek influence there. You can find some Cyrillic influence.
It looks Syriac to me.
Yeah,
personally.
Yeah, maybe that as well. So it's a mixed pot of European and Asian linguistic heritage. You can visit the website of the person who developed these languages for the project, and that's the same person who developed languages for the Game of Thrones project. And well, we already mentioned Game of Thrones today, but that's worth mentioning once again. David J. Peterson is the person behind.
Yeah, there are great interviews with him where he describes how he constructs the languages. He always has a message in the language's grammar. It is supposed to tell you something about the story of the people. So he's a very interesting guy.
Yeah. And moreover, he developed the sign language for this movie, because some of the characters, I didn't make any screenshots for that, because you probably better need to make video clips, and with video clips it's well, it's better not to anger YouTube gods with video clips from a blockbuster currently in the movies. Yeah, and I wanted to return to this photo, and it's a sample of their primitive computer technology. They have these projectors. We'll see projector working in the future still shots as well. Next, here's this scene where Herald of Change coming to Caladan, the home seat of the House Atreides, and I included this because there is another bookish object, not bookish, I guess bookish, because he's holding a scroll with this announcement that Atreides family has to move to Dune, to Arrakis, by the decree of Emperor Shaddam the 10th. We do not see this scroll in detail, unfortunately. I hope production team will publish more photos and information about this scroll, because in the elements you can see that it's made with some black material and with golden letters over it. So it's a rather beautiful object. And here you can see some Galak as well, some letters. And once again, I guess you can find some Greek and the Cyrillic influence here as well.
As well as Georgian, Armenian, something early.
Yeah. And that's another thing I wanted to. If some of our viewers already watched the movie, you'll understand what I'm referring to. If not, once again, it's not a major spoiler. It's not a spoiler at all. But after the scroll is signed and stamped, the Herald of the Change folds its back into the coffer. And I was just curious. It was stamped with wax by 2 or 3 persons there. So wouldn't the wax seals be destroyed in the process of folding it? I guess it's maybe a bookish blooper in this movie. Tombs on Caladan with Galak once again, or maybe not Galak, by the way. Here it may be, but yeah, the letters seem pretty similar. Here it may be ancestral language of Atreides, which as far as I remember, maybe has some French influence or not. I'm not sure. I may be wrong on that part. They use the language quite a lot, and I'm very happy about that. And what's even better, and I know Star Wars fans maybe wouldn't be happy for me mentioning that, but with Arabish, the script of Star Wars, there is no language behind Arabish. There is English language behind Arabish. And so it's just English words written with a different script. Unlike in Star Wars, here is a real invented language behind all these texts. And that's Paul's room on Caladan, and there are books there. He's a kid who likes to read, or at least has to read. We don't really know if he likes to read. That's the scene with Gom Jabbar. I wouldn't go into any details, but it happens in the library. And unfortunately, I had to enhance these images and to bring more light into this scene, because the scene itself is very dark. But yeah, here is the library. You can see any book details, but I'm glad to see a library in any movie. What's even better, I think they worked quite well with the library, because it doesn't look like they just fill the shelves with just some books. All the books do not look similar, but you can see some series over there in some of the shelves. In other shelves, there are some random books standing one next to another. So it really looks like a library of a real person.
You know what it looks like? It looks like the design described by Bookish in his infinite library, and it also looks infinite. It doesn't. You can see sort of the next level, but it looks like it goes on forever. And Bookish's library was also made of infinite regular polygons, and you could go up and down and left and.
Yeah. And that's something I wanted to discuss in a bit more detail. And that's a book that's held by Gurney Halleck, one of the major characters of the Dune series. And as far as I remember, he's Master of Arms for the House Atreides. And in the movie, he is holding this book when they are arriving to Arrakis, to Dune. We try to enhance the image just a bit, and the scene is really dark. You can't see the book in the scene, but you can see the book, but you can't see any detail. One of the members of our team, Friedrich Sommerfeld, was kind enough to try to decipher the text in the book. And when I first looked on the screenshot, I thought that it may be German, which is interesting for the future world 10,000 years from current moment. But still, as I mentioned, there are influences of old languages. Old languages are used as secret languages of different houses and families of the empire. So here we have a German book, and I don't think that's a blooper, because for example, in Game of Thrones, I once found some English book related to 19th century British history on one of the shelves in Tyrion's room. Well, it obviously didn't have to be there. But in this case, I don't think it's a blooper. I think it's some reference. It may be some reference to Gurney Halleck's history. So that's what Friedrich wrote to me. What I got so far: this passage appears to be from the book True Christianity, originally published in 4 volumes. It was later expanded into 6. This quote might be from the 6th volume. There's also a Russian translation, and Pavel will share the links to the book and to all that stuff from 1735. And the translation was published in Halle, where Friedrich lives. So it's another nice connection to our team and to our reality. There is a copy of the book on archive.org, not the same copy as the book that is shown in the movie, but you can find it there, and Pavel will also share the link to exact passage that is shown in this scene of the movie. So that was a nice catch, and many thanks to Friedrich for that.
I'm very impressed, because I can barely read a few words from here, like ich.
Yeah, I also found ich, and I was okay. That's probably German.
Sorry, I'm losing power. I'll be back in like 10 seconds.
Here is this book, another edition for the same book, and here is the frontispiece of the Russian edition of or Slavic edition of this book. Moving forwards, Pavel, are you ready to continue?
Yep.
Perfect. So there are also some books used by the natives of the Arrakis planet, the Fremen. They speak a different language, and this language is Chakobsa. As far as I remember, it has Arabic influence, and
so the influences are French, Romani, Hebrew, Slavic, Greek, Persian, Turkish, Sanskrit, and Arabic. Well, that's a lot, and the name itself is an adaptation of a name of a Caucasian language. So,
yeah, a huge mix of all this stuff. In the book, the Fremen people are descendants of Zen Sunnis, sort of Zen Islamic religious people from different planets. We can't really see in which script text is written in this book, and it doesn't seem in any way either Arabic influenced or influenced by Gallic. So I guess they just used some random book because it wouldn't be seen in much detail here, and well, that's obviously okay. And here are some. This scene lasts for, I don't know, 30 seconds or something, and there are several people praying, and they have these prayer books. Can't say anything special about the bindings because you can see them in much detail, but I guess that's just random books they decided to use as props, and obviously that's okay. By now it seems that the props team worked pretty well. There are no real bloopers here, not really much material, but still, even within this limited space in other projects, you can see like dozens of bloopers with the same amount of books, and that's a great use of book. And once again, Paul Atreides is using his projector. The book is obviously useful in this episode, and you can see some Gallic, I suppose, in this scene. Not in much detail, but probably if you follow the link to the website of David J. Peterson, you will be able to read a bit more about Gallic because he usually publishes all information. And for example, with some of the languages from Game of Thrones, like the Thraki or something like, I think you can even study them in Duolingo nowadays, or through some other applications. So that's something you can really do. And so returning to the topic of other languages, there are also in this movie, there are also two more spoken languages, warrior language of Harkonnens, war language of Harkonnens, and war language of Sardukar, the army of the Galactic Emperor. And as far as I understand, they are also developed by the same person. They are subtitled in the movie. You can't understand the thing when they are talking. There should be another major language in the movie, which is the language of Tleilaxu, another race in the Dune universe. The language is called Islamiyat. Also, some Islamic influence there, and it wasn't used here in this movie. It probably will be used in the second chapter because there probably should be some Tleilaxu characters there, if not in the third movie, or maybe in the series that are already announced and that will be dedicated to the origin of the Bene Gesserits. Yeah, and the other language that was developed for this movie is a sign language, sign part of the war language of Atreides, of the House Atreides. And I saw some discussions where people were deciphering the gestures made by the characters in the movie, and they were deciphering them following the tutorials posted on the website Pavel shared with you. And that's interesting how it works and how the community works and how many people find a lot of fun in all these processes. And one more language I wanted to mention is Mandarin Chinese. That's used by Paul and Dr. Yueh, Dr. Valentine Yueh, who is described in the book as a person with Chinese heritage, and well, he is obviously in the movie. as well. And here is another scene from the movie, and we are almost at the end of our talk. Here is Lady Jessica in some dream of Paul's, and she has some script on her face, and this script is, as it appears, that's the famous Litany against fear. That plays a major part of the Dune. How do you say, canon, Dune mythos. It's repeated several times throughout the movie, and obviously it plays some parts in this scene as well. But it's really strange to see it's
others all alphabet. So can you just remember which shape?
So this is Chakobsa.
And just read it.
This is written in Chakobsa. So here it is. It's not Galak. It's Chakobsa. It's language of Fremen. It's a language of Arrakis. Visually, it's quite different from Galak. Letter from Dr. Velka Yueh to Paul Atreides. This probably is a handwritten Galak and the scroll of paper. And the last objects in the movie, it's a library of sorts in the meteorological station, climatologist station, abandoned station, and there is this library which looks more like a collection of ledgers of something like that, which is reasonable for a scientific location. But once again, it seems quite fitting, and I also liked how it was produced and how the prop department worked through this scene and prepared the object. And that's something like 30 minutes or 40 minutes before the end of the movie, because, well, after that, no books or bookish objects or anything like that. And, well, there is a bit more action there. So I hope you liked it. If you have any additional questions, you can leave a comment. We will try to answer them, or send us a personal message or something. Once again, I invite you to check the links under the video and join us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Discord. By the way, you can ask your question there as well. And please consider joining the Patreon on Patreon. This is really important to us, and we appreciate every dollar, euro, pound, any other piece of money that's coming toward our project. And if you're ready to spend more money monthly helping iBookBinding to create this our podcasts, well, that's even better.